Priority is a powerful tool when it comes to making a Pokemon useful. Without it, some Pokemon would be far worse than they currently are without a way of outpacing faster Pokemon. What's up YouTube, it's your favorite cloud chaser Oaken64, coming at you with a new video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'm still working my way up to 100 subs so that I can start streaming my least favorite Pokemon fan game, Pokemon Reborn, and make a review on it. And without much further ado, let's get on to the video. Now this isn't me talking about how Pokemon has failed us in the priority department. I think for what it's worth, Pokemon has actually balanced priority quite well, and because of that, certain Pokemon get to shine quite well with certain move pool additions. However, not every system is perfect, and I would like to show a few, albeit notable grievances that the system has allowed. Prankster is an ability that gives any and all status moves +1 priority. Now this ability gives normally niche moves a whole new dimension of usability, and makes good moves even better, as you don't have to invest in any speed assuming your opponent can't one-hit KO you with a move of higher priority. Now the main complaint comes from this move in doubles, where several Pokemon have an especially infamous role, Prankster Tailwind. This issue stems from them being able to click Tailwind before the opponent can do anything. Given the nature of the Pokemon who use it, Tornadus is far too bulky to OHKO without an extremely powerful lead, and with a combination of Terrestrialization and Covert Cloak, you may not be able to KO or flinch Tornadus in order to stop its Tailwind, leading the opposing Pokemon to be much faster than you unless you use Tailwind yourself, and some Pokemon become absolutely unbearable to fight under Tailwind support. A way to remedy the ubiquity of Prankster Pokemon appearing in doubles is to give the Prankster ability a trade-off. Like normal, you get all status moves at +1 priority, but if it's a continuous effect, such as Taunt, Encore, or Tailwind, the turn counter is reduced by 1 if the effect is less than 5 turns, and if the effect is 5 turns or greater, the turn counter is reduced by 2. That means things like the screens will last a maximum of 6 turns while they are holding Light Clay, assuming that it keeps a 3-turn extension. Pokemon that can set weather have the advantage as their weather will be longer by default, and Tailwind mons without Prankster will have a turn advantage as they won't need to reapply the effect. This way, Prankster Pokemon are still undoubtedly stronger as support Pokemon than those without it, but there is a reason as to why you would consider using a Pokemon who doesn't have the ability and is just really fast. Some moves having priority make sense. Quick Attack is, well, a Quick Attack. Sucker Punch is a surprise attack. Extreme Speed is described as a blinding speed. Now that's good and all for offensive moves, but what about other status moves? Protecting its brothers aren't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about status moves that would be used in a Salty Showdown replay if the Pokemon could use it faster. What I'm trying to say is that I think more status moves, especially exclusive ones, should have high priority in order to facilitate their use, especially in doubles. For example, Spicy Extract is an interesting move. It halves your defense while doubling your attack. Now imagine if it had like +3 priority, where it can move before any priority attacking move, and you could use it to make priority moves deal more damage to certain Pokemon, or you could use it to buff up your own Pokemon. Metagross and Scovillain could be a strategy because of Clear Body, and that's the tip of the iceberg. Tar Shot being at +2 priority so that Colossal can give something a fire weakness, Topsy Turvy being a nightmare for setup sweepers, Magnetic Flux and Gear Up allowing +- Pokemon to have a more consistent strategy, Venom Drench being faster so that the poison status condition has more things to interact with. It gives more Pokemon a niche that doesn't really affect the best Pokemon, but it does allow more strategies to develop, meaning people may be surprised at new things coming into play. Trick Room gets its own special mention, because while it is much more powerful in doubles, it is much rare in singles, for what I believe are its 2 major drawbacks. Number 1, its turn length isn't enough, and number 2, its negative priority. Now in the context of doubles, setting its priority to being the lowest in the game makes sense, as there's a first turn being spent when you use the move. However, in singles, I think these restrictions have no place here. It's extremely punishing towards faster Pokemon who would be more ideal to set up the room, who now have to move last and be at the mercy of their opponents. I think a reasonable change would be to remove the negative turn priority in singles only. Fast Pokemon can set up the Trick Room, but obviously can't gain the benefit from it as they're too fast for the Trick Room. Additionally, the turn counter in singles should start to turn after Trick Room has been applied, with the other room move following suit, making sure that they're in line too. For example, Iron Valiant learns Trick Room, but it would basically never see play using said move in doubles, as it's far too frail to use a move. Your best bet would be to use a bulkier Pokemon like Farigiraf or Cresselia, but in singles, it would take precedence as being able to set up Trick Room because of its high speed, and it would allow it to click it before an opponent could respond outside of using a priority move. Additionally, it's up the issue of Trick Room being overbearing, as a Pokemon who set up Trick Room most likely can't take advantage of it. Forcing the item Valiant to switch would only leave 4 more turns of Trick Room remaining, while giving the opponent an advantage as they could predict the switch. Magic and Rondo Room are really interesting rooms, but in my opinion, I think these are the moves that should have the highest priority, apart from switching of course. Disabling item use in doubles and switching around defensive stats seems like it's really good for shenanigans, but no one uses them. Heck, it took until Gen 8 for me to remember that they didn't have any negative priority anymore. Honestly, I'd like Magic Room to remove abilities too, but I really don't know if that'd be too annoying or too overpowered in doubles. Wonder Room's kinda weird because I do like the idea of switching defensive stats, but it's kinda hard to abuse. But the positive priority buff would allow it to have some use. You could just use it to KO a Pokemon that would normally have a higher special defense than it does defense. Or no, the other way around, like, using Dragonite to OHKO Iron Hands because its def is lower and it's not getting boosted by Assault Vest. But the only issue now is that, well, most of the Pokemon don't learn it anymore. I think the only good one that learns is like Klefki and Gothitelle. But Klefki I haven't seen, and Gothitelle is really rare. If Takataka came back, that'd be a nice addition, because it's really bulky, and it has a way to swap around its defense to special defense, but unfortunately it wouldn't have Terra to abuse as well. Priority in Pokemon is an interesting mechanic. Ranking the conventional turn order with specific moves makes the game so interesting. You have Pokemon whose whole niche is that they constantly break the turn order. Others shine when the turn order is reversed thanks to Trick Room, and the expansion of that niche would allow some Pokemon to have more interesting niches, and allow more interesting team building, and add a little more spice to the game. Also, I'd like triples to come back because I really want to use Stonejourner and Clodsir again for a reason. Power Spot and Mega Launch are really cool abilities that would shine more in triples than they do in doubles in my opinion. But that's just me. With that out of the way, this is Oaken64, signing out.